as a younger man, I don't know if you guys know this, but I was actually like super salty. I felt like the world owed me something because I was like, dude, like I'm amazing. Why don't you guys see that I'm amazing? And for whatever reason, my brain interpreted that if I were to change my body, maybe then I could actually get the at the time the girls that I wanted. Maybe then people would actually respect me and those things. And so I went and embarked on a journey over that took basically. I've been training for about a decade. It took me about like at least a good 4 to build a body that I was actually kind of proud of. And so I want to really save you guys time. All the advice that I'm going to give you is going to be if you're trying to bulk or build muscle, but not look like a fat ass in the process. I've done this wrong multiple times. At least 3 or 4 times when I would try to bulk, I actually look like kind of like a balloon man. Like I would look pregnant. You wouldn't be able to see any definition or anything like that. And so I just want to let you guys know this advice is if you want to do it more like how I do it now. It's where it's like over the past 2 years, I've gone from 196 to 250, and throughout the entirety of it, you could basically still see my abs. If that's what you want to do, this advice is going to help you do it. I want to help save you guys time in getting that. Because here's what I found is as people actually feel better about themselves, they usually start to treat other people better. And reason number 2 is most dudes, the self-prescribed way that people go to try to build muscle is just crazy inefficient. Most people don't realize this, but it's like they'll set out on a course. Basically, they'll start somewhere like skinny fat or like a stick, and they assume that basically going to the gym, doing basically like 2 to 3 kind of half-ass workouts, doing a bunch of Stairmaster is going to get them there, and it's not. And so I want you guys to not do that, or to at least know what to do so you guys can get there. Starts and everything is based on this. A toned physique is a combination of having the right amount of muscle and a low enough percent body fat that it doesn't completely mask whatever muscle that you have. Some people actually would benefit more from just losing fat. Some people would actually benefit more from building muscle. This book is not like Clueless to Cut or Shredded Not Scrawny, which is solely committed towards like helping the fat loss part. It's towards how do you build muscle. In the guide, there's going to be a chart that's going to show you guys where you guys currently are and a bunch of different other physique options. And you guys will basically know very clearly if I'm trying to go from skinny fat or twink to bodybuilder shredded or anything in between. Like, what do I need to do? Do I need more fat, less fat, more muscle, less muscle? That type of thing. And this is going to help you just so you guys know where we're going with this. We're going to hit the basics of building muscle first, and then we're going to walk through from beginner to intermediate to advanced. What do you need to do to actually build muscle, and what are different questions that you're likely to have at that standpoint? But for now, we'll start with the basics. If you are stuck, you don't have a metabolism that's just like so high that you can't lose weight. This is not the universe telling you that you're destined to be a twink forever. It's one of 4 things that are not correct. It is you're not in a calorie surplus, you're not training properly, you're not getting enough protein, or you're not recovering right. The tighter that you have those 4, the faster that you'll see your change. The looser or the more shooting from the hip that you are around those 4, the slower that you'll change. Number 1, a calorie surplus is what creates the environment for you to build the most amount of muscle. If you're not in a calorie surplus, meaning like if you're not intentionally basically trying to gain weight, you're trying to gain or body recomp, it'll be crazy inefficient, especially if you're not in your first 6 months or you're restarting or you're taking steroids, something like that. What you're looking to do, you're looking to gain basically about a pound a week. The reason why is because basically only half of that, so basically anywhere closer to about a half a pound, only half of that's going to be muscle. The other half is going to be fat that you're going to have to cut off later. And that's okay. Half pound a week is pretty acceptable. The challenge is if you're only gaining maybe a half pound a week, you're actually gaining so slow that you don't know whether it's muscle or fat. If you're getting faster than that, meaning like 2 pounds, 3 pounds a week because you're eating a bunch of fast food and stuff, just realize that that is fat that you're going to have to cut off again later. Just be aware of that. Calorie surplus on its own is not enough for you to get there. You have to couple it with the other 3 levers that we're about to talk through, but that's going to be number 1. Number 2, proper training. Building muscle does take a lot more work than most people are willing to do. That's why most people don't do it. Whatever your goal is, I need you to understand that you got to be intentional with the time that you put in. So the goal is over time, you want to make the trainings harder. That's really the key to building muscle from a training perspective. It's not like rocket science here, but if over time they're a little bit harder, then you'll notice that you actually are getting stronger, right? That strength is coming from somewhere, likely your muscles, right? You're not just like manifesting strength. How do you actually make something harder is going to come down to, I just use an acronym REST W, R-E-S-T-W. You're going to increase, because again, it's easy to say make them harder over time, but most people, they'll default towards, okay, that means I have to increase the weight. That is one of 5 things that you can do. And if you increase the weight every time you go without doing the other ones, you will actually hit a limit very, very quickly. And you'll realize like, man, like actually for whatever reason, I just can't progress anymore. And so you need to know the other ones. Number 1 Increasing the number of reps or repetitions up to about 20. Controlling the eccentric, typically up to 8 seconds max. That's a long time to be doing a rep. Increasing the number of sets up to 6 sets, 6 working sets, not warm-up sets. And then decreasing the rest time is the T. And then, of course, the last one is W. We're going to talk about different things or like from safety. How do you keep yourself safe while you do this? We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Proper protein intake. If you get nothing else from this, honestly, if you just stick with this, like this is going to be a huge breakthrough for a lot of people, but it's just genuinely as simple as 1 gram per pound of body weight that you have. Hey guys, dropping in real quick to let you know, I love making these guys. If you have found this useful, please share it with someone else. If you know that you want training, please use the calendar on this site so that you can go ahead and set a time for us to talk. Everybody else, enjoy the content. People will hear that and think that like, no, this is too simple. It can't be the way. But I promise you, man, if you did nothing else but train and get 1 gram of protein per pound you had, like you'd start to see results. For a couple different reasons. Number one, and here's my bad. I gave that advice to someone and they, hit me back a month later and they're like, yeah, I'm actually gaining weight. I know that scientifically that's not possible. But there was an implied part that I forgot to mention, which is it's increasing your protein intake while basically keeping your calories the same. If you are increasing your protein intake, but your calories are now drastically different, then that defeats the purpose. As you increase your protein intake and you get in alignment with 1 gram per pound, number one, you foster the best environment for you to build muscle. Number two is you're actually increasing your metabolism. So that's why a lot of people start to body recomp or lose fat while they build muscle. Have 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. You're training properly and you're making the workouts harder using the REST-W acronym over time, and you're in a caloric surplus. Now we're cooking, right? And then you add the fourth one, which is proper recovery. And I just need you guys to understand that if you are not recovering properly, you're leaving a lot of gains on the table or setting yourself up for injury. Personally, I spent a long time trying to do this with 5 hours of sleep because I always had something better to do. I'm a busy guy. You know what I mean? Like I had social commitments and different things to attend. And so I was running on 5 hours of sleep, and I look back in hindsight and I'm just like, dude, like the amount of times that I would basically be prone to injury or just exhausted now that can't be quantified, right? So just from a recovery standpoint, we're going to walk through that later, but prioritize your sleep, prioritize drinking enough water, and taking care of yourself so that you can actually get where you're trying to go. Wrapping up the basics with how do you know what to track? Like, and I'm saying this just because like when I was building muscle, when I was initially building muscle, I had no clue. And so I was doing all these things, but I didn't know really what was important. And I want to make it super simple. It's a 3-2-1 to win framework, right? 3 things daily, 2 things on a weekly basis, 1 thing on a quarterly basis. For a daily basis, you want to control your calorie intake. Whether you're looking to go up or down, remember how much energy you're putting in your body is going to be the biggest lever to make that environment. Number 2 is your protein intake. We just talked through that. Number 3 are your 3 recovery S's. That's what I call them for recovery. Which recovery we can break down into, it's a crude way of saying it, but it's easy to remember. Sip, sleep, shit, right? So sip, how much water should you get? The general advice that I give most people is 1 gallon a day. The more precise amount, if you want to be specific, is going to be take your body weight divided by 2, add ounces on the back of that guy, and that's your actually specific for your body. Sleep, you want to target at least 7 hours a day. You want to go for 14 grams of fiber per 1,000 calories. The weekly is going to be REST-W for the same lift. And I say this just because it's very easy to get in when you're getting started to kind of machine hop. And so you get there and you kind of just go with the flow, whatever you're feeling. You want to pick at least 1 lift and stick with it for a while, because if you're doing the same lift and you're actually doing the REST-W with it, you'll actually be able to know if you're getting stronger, not just guess. And the second thing that you're going to check on a weekly basis is your weight. Some people are like, oh, I don't like checking the scale. I don't really care about the weight. There are studies that show the more that you check your weight, the more likely you are to actually hit the goal. And the only reason why some people don't like to do it is they're like, oh man, like, but then I get like a negative psychological effect with it and like those types of things. Number one, there are also studies that are proving that is a lot of baloney. So the more times you check your weight, the more you're likely to actually hit your goal. On that, for weekly metrics, REST-W for the same lift, and then weight. And then the quarterly one is going to be other body metrics. And so that's where you're going to check, is the size of my bicep increasing? Is the size of my chest increasing? Is my waist staying about the same? Is my butt growing? Like progress photos. What's my BMI? Like all these other metrics that you can check, I recommend only evaluating them on a quarterly basis. And when you check them more frequently than that, I think less people really admit this, but it's like, it's hard to see a change, especially when you're talking about building muscle, man. It feels super slow. And so I recommend just give it a quarter, and then you'll actually be able to see some stuff. Be encouraged by what you're seeing, as opposed to like demoralized that like you're checking week to week, you're like, I don't see anything. So we've gone through all the basics that will knock people out. And I wrapped it up with what to track because I'm letting you know it's important that you do track, because most people quit because they feel like they're not making progress, not because they're not. You'll actually be able to create more ways that you can win and stay engaged along the way. We just went through the basics of building muscle, and we're about to go into the next beginner set of questions so you guys know what to expect, right? General questions that I get from a lot of beginners. I will start by saying this. The beginning is defined by figuring out what to do, how to do it, and then how you get this consistent. Like, that's the beginning stage, right? And so there are two camps that I find that most beginners are in. Either one, those who have mental blocks, that keeps them from starting. Number two is those who are willing to take action but genuinely don't know what to do. I will say that the second camp is significantly smaller. In today's age, it's like information is not necessarily like a hard thing to come by. And so not knowing what to do isn't most people's problem. It's usually some mental thing that keeps most people stuck, from like, I just feel uncomfortable in the gym. Like, I don't want to go in the gym and look retarded. Like, you feel like, I don't want to break myself. Like, there's all these different things, or get injured. Like, there's a ton of stuff that mentally can keep you stuck. And hopefully these questions help you go through and kind of get unhung up on some of that. Training. How long should a workout last? My response is going to be, it depends on where you are in your journey. If you are at point zero and you're busy as shit, my recommendation is actually going to be different than if you are not. And so we're going to start with the ground zero people and then build from there. So if you're doing nothing and you are deciding that you want to build some muscle or get fit, then number one, get active. I define getting active by basically taking 30 minutes and doing anything. Going for a walk, walking your dog, like treadmill works. I don't really care. But it's like, do that 3 days a week. And if you're super busy, you will find it's such a low bar that it's hard for people to be like, I can't do that. And that's exactly what we want. We want to set a low bar that's super achievable so you can get in motion, right? And then you're like, okay, I can do this. That's step number one. Number two is step up the consistency. So go from 3 days to 5 days, right? Of activity, any activity, right? So now you're officially an active person. I'm letting you know, if you're doing 5 days of activity. Number three is going to be get your protein right? And again, we already talked about why protein is so crucial to this, but basically you want to go from no awareness around your protein to at least consuming 100 grams of protein a day. Most dudes, when they start our training program, are consuming less than 100 grams of protein a day and wondering why it's hard for them to get results. Number four is going to be, okay, cool. Now we've got 5 days and we have 100 grams of protein a day. You're going to transition at least 3 of those days into strength training days. So you will work out on any pieces of equipment for 30 minutes for 3 of those 5 days. And then the last step is going to be, over however long it takes, add 10 minutes per week to start to stretch your workouts from basically 30-minute sessions into hour-long sessions. And I'm letting you know, bro, like, you can get as far as you want to go off of just doing that. How do I know? I've done this off of 70 minutes of training when I go. Of focused lifting, though, I will say that. Like, and so I'm letting you guys know, like, those people who are like, no, you've got to be in the gym for 2 hours. Like, what's your take on calisthenics type stuff? Yeah, so calisthenic workouts are actually going to be helpful. However, it depends on what your goal is. All actions need to tie back to the goal. If you are at a spot where you're trying to actually be as efficient as possible with building muscle, and you're trying to be as efficient as possible with putting your time in, most people actually, the calisthenics wouldn't be the way. Typically, people who do calisthenics, it's one of those things like, you just like doing calisthenics. They look cool to you. They like the idea of being some like physical athlete, and that's cool. However, most people that I know that even sell calisthenic programs also do strength training on the side, and then they just don't document that. They document the calisthenic stuff. And so it's one of those things that it's those are great movements, but at some point you get less and less resistance from them just because you're getting stronger, especially if your weight's not going up. Just think about it. If you can only do body weight and your muscles are getting stronger, but the weight that you're pushing is staying the same, strength at some point, your return from it's going to basically plateau. And so just realize it is more efficient to go to the gym and actually have tools that you can actually use to change the weight or do different things. Because at some point, the only way that you would get more of a return from body weight exercises, those jumping jacks, wall squats, or squats, or, like those types of things, is doing more volume. So you're doing more sets, more reps. And what are you going to do? Like 1,000 fucking push-ups a day? Or you could just go to the gym and load up some weight. And so that's the reason why body weight exercises are great. It depends on what your goal is. If you're trying to build muscle as efficiently as possible, that's not the path. How many days a week should I work out? And again, that depends on your life. Ideally, you would want to have at least 3 strength training days a week. That's where you want to go, is like, again, the low bar for that. Hey guys, there's a ton more beginner, intermediate, and advanced questions that we dive into in the manual. And so if you guys liked what you guys have heard, feel free to go ahead and download the resource. Feel free to go ahead and download the muscle manual so that you guys can actually get the rest of that information.